that hopefully will help you if you want to facilitate some online CPD with your staff teams. Okay, let me make a start. So this is me. I usually work as a program developer for face-to-face CPD. Now, obviously, face-to-face CPD is a mass gathering, so I'm not sure next time that I'm going to be able to get into the training room safely. So this is my solution. I'm trying to find ways to do the thing I love, but in an online setting. So thank you very, very much for coming. Right, the first thing I want to do is introduce ourselves to everybody. Now, something a little bit intimidating about speaking online, and I think when your first CPD, you'll notice that people are slightly reluctant to speak for the first time. They might be reluctant to put their webcams on, they might be reluctant to say something. Might be the lack of feedback, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is, just to get us to grips with this, is I'm going to put you into some Zoom breakout rooms. Now, a breakout room is a small group where you can talk in a smaller setting. Now, I've got 22 participants, so I'm going to put you guys into 10 rooms, which means that you will be in the room with one other person. Now, that is your opportunity to say hello, introduce your name, your school, and your question for today is one thing, the first thing you are going to do after this MCO. What's the first thing you're going to do? I know which restaurant I'm going to go to. I'm sure everyone has got their own ideas about what they want to do. So hopefully by putting you into the breakout room, it will make you feel a little bit more comfortable about taking part. And so I'm going to do that now. It will last for about 2 minutes. After that 2 minutes, you will be automatically put back into the main room. All right, so use that 2 minutes, just say hello, make a bit of chit chat, talk about the weather like a good British person would. So I'm going to put you into those breakout rooms now. We're going to put you into 9 breakout rooms, and there we go. So everybody needs to click to join their breakout room and see who they can meet. Okay, so press join.
Experiences with the teachers. It is just nice. I really love it. Now during the MCO time.
Oh, thank you, Bo.
That's all right. You're welcome.
A bit embarrassing, couldn't it? One thing that I've learned about online CPD and using this technology is it never goes according to plan. So my question was, did you manage to speak to anyone? Can you give me your reactions along the bottom? Can you give me a thumbs up if you managed to speak to someone? Excellent, excellent. Oh, we've got more people coming back in now. Fantastic. Okay. There are a few people that are saying no. It's not a perfect science, but it gives you an idea of some of the things that you can do to make this a little bit less intimidating. Okay, we've got everyone back. Got a few people joining. Okay, so the breakout rooms is a way to break the ice a little bit. It's to put us in smaller groups, test the audio. Now, this isn't a perfect science and certainly not a great example of really effective CPD because there's not a lot of time for me to go through these things a lot of times. Now, features like breakout rooms work best when staff have had a chance to get their head round the technology. So, for example, finding the buttons to join in, finding all the different ways to do things can take some time. And obviously, when we're online, sometimes we tend to panic, whereas actually it doesn't matter if it takes a couple of seconds. And I think that's one thing that I've learned about online CPD is that I've really tried to slow my pace and not panic. Okay, so that was our first activity. Could you just let me know in the chat box if you were able to talk to somebody during that session? Were you able to talk to somebody? Oh, somebody's partner left. Oh, that's annoying. Hopefully we'll get better at it. Bo managed to talk to someone, that's great. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so breakout rooms is one feature of Zoom, and actually that's kind of why at LeapEd we use Zoom for our coaching, which is where we got this idea from. It's one of the great, however, at no point am I advocating for one platform over the other. I know that Zoom has its problems. All right, I need to, this is another thing I need to work out. We need to make sure that people are muted when there's background noise. Fantastic. Okay. So, as a bit of an introduction, is this the new normal? I don't know. I watched a webinar with the OECD a couple of weeks ago. A couple of days ago, actually. It just feels like time is flying at the moment. And this guy, Andreas Schleiger, he said, out of crisis often comes real change. And this phrase really got me thinking, because what if all of this new way of learning this technology in this crisis, what if out of this comes something better in the end? What if we're able to use this technology and use what we're doing to make learning better for children long term, and also therefore make CPD for staff better long term? What if now we can connect campuses, we can connect people all over the world? Like, these are far off ideas, but they're certainly helping me to see the perspective, because at this sort of time I think is very, very high anxiety. And for me, to make myself feel better, I've tried to change my perspective on things and try and see opportunity in this chaos. Certainly, I know that over the last few weeks, I've connected with colleagues that I was working in the same office with, but I never really spoke to. I've connected with them far more over the last week, and to me, that's a real positive. So maybe it's about how we look at a situation, and that's kind of something that I've been thinking about. In terms of CPD, I think a real big question for school leaders is it appropriate at this time? I saw this poll on Twitter. I use Twitter a lot for getting ideas and for sharing information. This was a tweet from April the 7th, and she asked, how are schools approaching staff CPD while we are shut? Are schools engaging? Are they ignoring it? And our lovely colleague Gary commented on this poll, and he said, life is continuous CPD at the moment, which is certainly how I feel. I feel like I'm learning things every day. So I thought I'd start by asking you this particular question. I've launched a Zoom poll. You should be able to see it. What are you doing? What's your school doing about staff CPD? Are they ignoring it? Are they sending staff to do it? Is it their own choice? If you could vote on that poll, just to give us an idea of what's going on. So one person says they don't know. That's fine. Some schools are sending their staff to do CPD. That's great. Sending CP for their staff to do. Oh, lots and lots of people saying that. Some people saying own choice. Nobody seems to be ignoring it for now, which is really interesting. Because this Twitter poll, actually that came out as the most. So we've got 4 more people who need to vote. So it looks like this is something that schools are going for and that they're wanting to address. So that's fantastic. Fantastic to know. So, is CPD appropriate at this time? I think this is a big question. Clearly, your schools are sending you for CPD, but is it appropriate? I saw this meme doing the rounds a few weeks ago. If you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill, your new side hustle started, more knowledge, you never lack time, you lack discipline. That meme had a lot of backlash, and somebody changed it to actually, you're doing just fine. We're going through a collective traumatic experience. And I think there are 2 sides to this. Some people are seeing CPD as a huge opportunity to learn more things, but others are going through quite a traumatic experience. Lots of people have got kids at home. Lots of people are just trying to get used to to this new way of doing it. So I think as a school leader, one of the first things you have to do, I'm going to share the results of this one. There's the results for our poll. Most people are sending staff CPD to do, which is really interesting. Okay. I think this is a question that school leaders have to ask. So one of my first kind of things that I wanted to share with you is when you consider CPD, you've got synchronous and you've got asynchronous CPD. So this is an example of synchronous CPD. We're all here at the same time. There is asynchronous CPD, of course, where you send out links. This is an example of synchronous. There is a group of teachers who are eager to learn. There are also teachers who would appreciate some solid and relevant advice. There might also be teachers who are spending hours creating lessons and they might not be the most effective. And we also have to face the fact that this could go on for some time. Obviously, Malaysia is in no way the same situation as in the American schools, but the Americans have already announced that their school is not going back this academic year. UK schools are looking at September. So if we are going to be going through this for some considerable time, we do have an opportunity, perhaps a requirement, a need to make sure that our staff are supported and they're getting the training they need. So my first kind of thought was that maybe during the MCO, it should be an opt-in activity. Now, every school will have their own approach to this, and I'm not advocating for any particular one, but people do have lots of time constraints. You could consider putting a regular slot in so that people can plan their time. You also need to make sure that the CPD that you're delivering is relevant to what they're experiencing at the moment. And it could be that if you do synchronous CPD, then you record the session for staff who were unable to make it. There are lots of different ways that you can do this. Another consideration is that adults learning is most effective when there is a need to learn, when there is a need to learn to problem solve or address a concern. Now, at this moment, there are lots of people struggling. So maybe this is an opportunity. There is a real need, and perhaps, therefore, any CPD will be more effective as long as it's relevant to what they're doing. Another experience that we've had at LeapHead is we firmly believe that experiential learning is best. Experiential learning is when you plan a CPD session to have an experience. Now, at the moment, worldwide, we are all sharing the same experience. So if you can plan CPD to help tap into that experience, it's likely to be more effective. Okay, making a start with online CPD. My first top tip, and it's really not revolutionary, is do not panic. It's hard to talk and deliver to a blank screen where you can't hear what's going on. In CPD, usually I eavesdrop on conversations. I listen to what people are saying in the room, and it gives me an idea of if I'm going too fast, if I'm going too slow, how things are going. I don't have that, and therefore it can be really, really intimidating. The first CPD session I delivered, I asked a question, nobody responded, and I panicked and I just answered the question. What I forgot was that people do need thinking time. People do need a chance to react and respond, and it's not going to be instant. Just the same way that when we talk about children and teachers in classrooms, give children 30 seconds to think of an answer. I would say for online CPD, that was even more important because connections break up. People are quite intimidated. They don't want to share. So that would be my first piece of advice, is take your time. Again, the first CPD I did, I was panicking because I was waiting for late participants and I wanted to get started. I was worried that people were sitting and waiting for me. Actually, in a normal CPD, maybe in a staff meeting after school, you're waiting 10 minutes for people to arrive. So it's not the end of the world if it doesn't start completely. Just don't panic and take your time. Second piece of advice is length. Zoom exhaustion is real. If you're going to do synchronous online learning with your staff, and indeed with children, consider the length of time that you are working with them. At LeapEd, we found, our DTPMN team have found that 50 minutes meeting, 10 minutes break is a really good model for helping people manage exhaustion. Also, think of your back. We're crouched over these computer screens. Think of a back. I've put my laptop up on a stack of books because that means that I'm not over it. I'm sitting in a proper position. We're not in a position where we've got proper office chairs. We've not got ideal circumstances. So anything you can do. There are also apps that can help with this. I researched an app called Flux. I haven't used it yet, but I thought I would share some of the apps that are out there. Do research it before you use it. Flux changes your screen resolution so there's less light, especially if you're working at night or early in the morning. It changes the resolution so it's less of a strain on your eyes. So there are lots of these sort of options to explore if you do want people to do online learning. Now, quality CPD takes more than 50 minutes. But what I would say is that if you do synchronous CPD, you don't have to spend the whole session online. Staff briefings after school are usually what, an hour and a half? So maybe you do half an hour altogether, an hour completing a task, and then maybe 10 minutes coming back in. There are lots of ways you can play. Just because you're in an online meeting doesn't mean some tasks can be taken offline. Tip number four, display your keywords and your key questions. That's what I'm doing with my SlideShare at the moment. Lots of people are accessing on laptops, but lots of people are accessing on phones. And phone screens are small. So your text, your visual needs to be big so that we don't all come out of this needing glasses. If you can display your keywords, your key questions, that's one way to make sure that people are receiving messages. Okay. And my next piece of advice is don't forget what you already know. The old things you know about good teaching and learning and good facilitation for staff still stands. You need to ask good questions. You need to get feedback. And if you're going to set staff a task to do something, you need strategies to hold them accountable. If you require teachers to attend a CPD and there's a task associated with it, if you just let it go and don't follow up and make sure people do it, then it will disappear as an ineffective CPD. So don't forget what you already know about making sure that people are taking part. Okay, icebreakers. Don't forget the icebreakers. I did this in my first one. I panicked and I wanted to make a start really quickly, and I forgot that sometimes we need a little bit of a release at the start, and listening to something for a long period of time is really hard. So I'm going to share with you some icebreakers now. I'm going to take off this screen share and go back to gallery. So you can play with the features that you have on your platform. Now, Zoom has a couple of features for getting feedback. Now, one of them is thumbs up. So if you go to the bottom of your screen, there is a reaction there and you can do thumbs up. Can I see all of your thumbs up? Let me check you're listening out there. Excellent. And I can't see your thumb yet. I can see a few thumbs up, right? The thumb directions. And then you've also, thank you, Anne. And then you've also got a clap. So can you give me a clap? Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. And I would like you to use your reactions to respond to this question. Right. The question is, do you like nasi lemak? So if you're like, yes, I love nasi lemak, give me a thumbs up. If you're like, ugh, that's the most horrible thing I've ever heard of, give me a clap. Where is my reaction? I'll find it now. So you get the idea. So for me, nasi lemak is the worst thing. So let's see, I'm going to clap. I got a lot of thumbs. Okay, right. Second question. Who has watched The Tiger King on Netflix? I've got a thumbs up from, so thumbs up means yes, I love it. Daniel's got a yes, I love it. Yusi's got a clap. No Tiger King for Yusi. Okay. Anne's got a clap. No Tiger King. It's one of the things that got me through this lockdown, to be honest. It's ridiculous. But again, not advocating because it's hard work to watch. So these are the kind of questions where you can get instant reactions and you can bring people in. Okay. Next one, we're going to use the hands up feature. So if you click on your participants screen, you can see a hands up feature. So on your participants, you can put your hand up, or you can give a yes, or you can give a no. So the thing about hands up is you've got to remember to put your hand down. Okay, so everyone put their hands down. Put their hands down. And my question is, hands down, everyone. Hands down, thank you. All right, so my question is, who is using Google Classroom as a platform? Can you put your hand up if you're using Google Classroom? So we've got Usha, Daphne using Google Classroom. We've got Limle, beautiful. Okay, put your hands down. Oh, Jazz Queen is as well, fantastic. All right, put your hands down. Then we've got, my second question is, who's using WhatsApp in some way to communicate with parents or deliver work? So put your hand up if you're using WhatsApp. Oh, Anna's got her actual hand up, which is also a method. If you've got a smaller group, there's no reason. Obviously, if you've got a virtual background like mine, it goes a bit funny. But you can also hands up in this way. Hands up, beautiful. So that's WhatsApp. So put your hands down. There are also some other kind of creative things you can do with icebreakers. So I'm going to share this screen. This is one of my favorite feedback. This is one of my favorite feedback features in a classroom. I love asking children to traffic light. So green if they're loving it and they're doing well, amber if they're stuck and they need a little bit of help, and red. Amber if they need a little bit of help, and red if they're stuck. So I was thinking of a game. So one CPD session that I ran, I asked people to run around their house and find one green thing, one amber thing, and one red thing, so that we could play with colour. And if you've got a small group, you can do stuff. So this was my yellow that I found. You can't see it because of my virtual background. But that way people were coming with like plates from the kitchen and clothes from their wardrobe. And we made it into a bit of a scavenger hunt. So that was an icebreaker for the session, finding something of a colour and using this AFL technique to do that. So I guess one of the things that I'm saying is that there's ways that we can be creative just because that we are offline. And you know what? Some of these things might not work. Some of these things people might say are silly. I don't care. We need to have some fun with this, and our teachers need to have a little bit of a social outing as well. So some activities where we can be creative are great. So that's one way I've been using icebreakers. Okay. Now, all of these features that I'm sharing with you are on Zoom. Now, I am very aware that Zoom has its problems. There's been lots of security. It's a small app. It got overwhelmed. I mean, Leaped are quite lucky because we were subscribing to Zoom way before this happened. But there are genuine concerns. So the features that I'm showing you are on Zoom, but there are similar features on other online platforms. I think Skype is a little bit out of date at the moment, but there are features and things like in Teams and in Google Hangouts and all of those sort of stuff, that if Zoom is not a platform that your school is using, there are alternatives. One good thing came out today: Singapore schools are going to resume the use of Zoom. There are security settings that you can do, like locking the room. So that is one piece of good news for Zoom. But, you know, I'm not advocating for this. It's just that's what we've been using. If you do use Zoom, one of the features like the breakout rooms and the non-verbal feedback, you have to enable them yourself. So you have to go to the meeting settings on the browser and enable them yourself. This is one thing that is slightly frustrating. It wasn't automatic and it wasn't necessarily easy to find. So do spend some time with the Zoom settings. If you go to this page, this profile and setting page, there are security features on there as well that can help you be a little bit more reassured if you do choose to use it for online learning. Okay, tip number 7, clear instructions. It's really difficult to hear everything when you're working online. People have very, very different experiences with their web connections. And if you don't quite catch it, it can put you out of the loop with the conversation. So do make sure that you repeat instructions. Practice things like the breakout rooms. We're going to practice that again in a minute, and hopefully it will be easier for you. Find a platform and stick with it. I think that one thing that's come out of this situation is that there are so many links being fired to so many different apps. I have chosen to put my time into learning Zoom, and I've chosen my time to find out more about how to use PowerPoint. So PowerPoint, I didn't know this, has a function where you can record. So I've been recording audiobooks today. And I was looking online for the best way to record audiobooks. And then I found that PowerPoint does it perfectly well. And I know how to use PowerPoint. So if you've got a situation that if you've got a technology that you know how to use, don't reinvent the wheel. And then also the other thing is reflect on kinks. Not every training session goes perfectly. I've had training sessions where I've come out of and been head in hands, and lessons, head in hands, not knowing what went wrong. Reflect on it. Don't give up on it. Reflect on it and work out the kinks. You don't have to, what's the word? Throw the baby out with the bathwater. If something doesn't work, don't get rid of the whole thing. Stick with it. Have a growth mindset around it. Get better. So I think that's really important, and then making sure that you're scaffolding for your participants. Now, one thing I didn't do at the start of this session was give you all a tutorial on how to use Zoom. I'm aware of that. I made a time decision on that. But if you're facilitating CPD for the first time, as Yusi has said in the chat, there are so many good tutorials on YouTube to guide you through Zoom or the platform you choose. Spend some time getting used to the features. So for example, I'm not going to use the whiteboard today because I felt that was just one step too far for the time we've got. So do make sure that you scaffold your way in for your staff. Maybe send them some work before the meeting so they can get their head around. And the other thing is, of course, it can be incredibly difficult to get feedback. Very, very difficult to get feedback online. I mean, I've been talking to you now for nearly 40 minutes. I've got no idea if I make sense. I've got my polling, I've got my chat box, but actually it's not the same as being in a room, and I'm very aware of that. So with all of our online CPD, we've been sending out feedback forms and diligently making sure that we collect it. Sheila's just asked a question, Zoom polling on the free version. I think it is on the free version. She said yes, perfect. This way of collecting feedback is something that is really valuable for a facilitator. It builds confidence. It makes you think that you're not talking into mid-air and not making sense. Okay, tip number 10, collaborate. Find ways to collaborate. If you can, try and set a task to work in smaller groups. You can think about the grouping here. I'll come on to that later, but for the minute, I'm going to put you into some new groups to collaborate on a question. So I'm going to put you into the breakout rooms again. I'm going to reassign you to some different breakout rooms. This is something Zoom can do very well. So you'll be with new people. When you get the option to join the room, click join. After 3 minutes, you'll be automatically put back into the main lobby. Okay, so these are your 2 questions. One thing you feel like you've learned so far in this online CPD, and one question that you still have. that you would like to find out. So I'm going to put you into those. These are conversation starters. So don't worry if that conversation moves on a little bit, but these are your starting points. One thing that you've learned so far and one question that you still have. Okay, I'm going to put you into the breakout rooms. I'm going to recreate them. I'm going to create slightly bigger groups this time. So you're going to be working 3 or 4. Okay, so I've put you into some new groups, and now you can go off into your breakout rooms.
I did very nice.
Good. Yeah, that one was nice because that one we don't get on Teams, right? The raise your hand. Yep.
Yeah, and then when she said, okay, everybody, what do you think? So she's posting a question, and then we have to say,
Zoom itself will help, not just the. Oh, look at Hayley. Hayley has jumped in. Hi, Hayley.
Jumped in. How's it going?
It's
good. Just getting a grip on Zoom. You know that we use Microsoft Teams, so
Yes.
we're familiar with that. We just don't use Zoom at all.
I mean, there's no reason why you can't do this stuff on Teams. The only problem with Teams is it doesn't have breakout rooms.
No, you have
No,
channels.
we have. We have channels. Yes.
We have channels, and we can use differentiated learning as well.
Yes.
But the functions on responding, those quick feedback.
Yeah, we do not have that.
We don't have that one. That could be actually quite useful.
There's,
But anyway,
you could do a Google form for that though. If you prepared a Google form in advance, you could send a link to a Google form. I mean, it's not quite as snappy.
yeah, exactly. That's the problem. You should see our student survey response is like 20%.
Yeah.
You know, if you do it as an additional task, it doesn't work. I mean, I can hold you in this chat group for 1 hour.
I'm gonna leave now.
Hi, Hayley.
Hi, oh, that's Hayley.
Sorry to interrupt. How's it going so far?
Oh.
It's good. It's good.
Am I
Well, it's good
making
for me.
sense? Good. I'm glad to hear. All right, I'm gonna pop back. We're gonna switch to breakout rooms in about 2 minutes. Okay.
All right.
Okay. You're coming back into the room. If you could just drop into the Zoom group chat how you found that conversation. Was it beneficial to be talking to other people? What did you find? You listened to me for quite a long time, and then you had that opportunity to talk together. So if you could just drop into the chat as you come in how you found that experience and whether it was helpful. Okay. No one's dropping into the chat. Not sure what that means. If you could just, if you enjoyed the breakout rooms, it was a good experience sharing ideas with each other. That was from Shriti. Beautiful, thank you. Daphne, nice to talk to another person. Like being in a real CPD session. Yeah, almost. I guess, Jaskrin's raised a hand. I'm gonna come to Jaskrin and see if she's got a question. Where are you, Jaskrin? All right,
Miss Hayley, I supposed to tap on the thumbs up, not raise my hand. I'm so sorry.
No problem. I'm gonna mute you again then. Okay. So that's excellent. So lots of people are saying that these opportunities for collaboration is something that we can do. And like I say, I love training rooms. So anything that I can do to recreate a training room, I will do. The only problem is, of course, as a facilitator, I have to walk into one breakout room, come out again. It can be tricky to manage. So there's that getting feedback is just something that I'm learning every day. Okay, that's the breakout rooms. So right, I'm going to give a quick poll for you guys now, just to see. Let's have a look. This is just a midpoint check. I'm going to launch the polling. Have you enjoyed any of these solutions to facilitate some staff CPD? If the answer is yes, no, it seems too complicated, no, it's not my job, maybe I need to learn more. Could you just give me a quick, this is kind of assessment for learning. I want to see how the room is doing. So I've got a lot of maybes, that's excellent. Got 11 participants, 13 participants so far. Lots of people saying yes, which is really, really great. And gives me a bit of confidence moving forward. A lot of maybes, which is fine because I've got a few more top tips to share with you. Brilliant. I'm going to stop that because I'm running out of time. So this was the results of the poll. So I'm pleased with that. I feel like so far so good. Excellent. Okay. Right. Some people might give it a go. That's brilliant. So what does effective CPD look like? What does effective CPD look like? You need to make it relevant. The first thing is that whatever topic you choose for your CPD, it doesn't matter what platform, whatever topic you choose, it needs to be relevant. Remember that adult learning works best when it solves a problem. And also remember the social aspect of this. Give teachers an opportunity, especially at the moment, give them an opportunity to work together. I showed you this quote earlier. Adult learning is most effective when there is a need to learn. We have that at the moment, so let's seize the opportunity. And also when there's problem solving involved. Now, this is a slightly overly complicated model of adult learning. I wanted to share it with you because adults do learn a little bit differently from children. So when you're facilitating CPD, there are some stages you can go through with your CPD to get the most from adults. Now, you will have noticed in this CPD, the first question I asked you was a focusing question. I asked you who you were and what your experience was. That's focusing. Then I gave you an experience of using the platform. That was my experience section. Now, I then gave you a Zoom poll, and that was asking you to reflect on what you've learned and think about how you can use it in future. Now I'm taking you into the thinking section. I'm going to give some new concepts to you for you to think about and apply to what you've just done. So I've been using this model. Now, in an hour-long session, it's impossible to hit every single part of this model. But I am nothing if not ambitious. So I thought I would try and model it as much as I could. So we've done focusing, we've had an experience, we've done a quick reflection. Now here is some thinking for you. And as we move forward, I'm going to ask you if you can modify it for your own context, if you can apply it, and if you can integrate it later. Okay, so first thing I would suggest when you're planning your CPD is to send pre-work. I don't know about you, but the number of links that I am getting and being told to read is overwhelming. If you are going to plan CPD, plan 1 or 2 things for your teachers to read. Make sure that they are good quality. Don't do too much. Pre-work is something that we've always done at LeapEd. If you book a training session with us, you will have a link to a Google site and there will be 2 tasks for you to do. In this is the pre-task I've got. This is from our teachers CPD. One of them was to watch a video and one of them was to take some photographs. So this is an example of using a Google site to set some pre-work. Nothing too onerous, nothing too much. The other thing that you need to use if you want good buy-in for your CPD, you need to use all of your influencer skills. Now, I'm going to find out if any of my colleagues have watched this by name checking one of my colleagues called Gary. Now, Gary is a master at influencer skills. And when he sends out his pre-work, he accompanies it with 2 emails. The first one, he tells us why we have to watch these things. So for example, this one is from last November, and he wrote, when these videos were shown as part of a pre-task for school principals, over 90% of participants found them to be useful. That is him influencing people to read the articles, doing everything he can to get their engagement. He then sent a message a couple of days later and said, nearly 75% of you watched the video. Now, Gary reported that after sending that email, the number of people that logged on and did the work spiked. People saw it, they said, oh my God, 75% of people have done it. I haven't, I'm going to do it. He later revealed that this was a complete lie. But never mind, his aim was to get us to read the stuff. And do you know what? It worked. So if you're planning on CPD, quality CPD, make sure it's relevant, find ways to get your staff to do it. I'm never a fan of the stick approach. These are very much carrot approaches, and it's something that you could play with. Okay, the other thing to do with your CPD is to create a cycle. Don't make it a one-off. Effective CPD is a cycle. So if you can do it once a week, once every 2 weeks, this is a good cycle to use. We call it plan, do, review, share. So what you would do is teachers would identify a specific problem to investigate and plan a strategy. So you might set up a CPD saying, how is Google Classroom working for you? You might collect the problems and then give those problems to different teams of teachers to go and solve. They have some time, they try out some strategies, they do some research. Then they reflect on whether it worked or if it didn't work. And finally, they come back together to share what they have learned. Plan, do, review, share. It's a cycle that can facilitate effective learning. This is another example. So you could lead a CPD about student participation, share some ideas, or present the problem and ask for ideas. Then teachers choose one strategy to try. They think about its success and whether it worked. And finally, they attend a CPD to share what they've learned. So this is a very simple cyclical approach to CPD. Collaboration, two ideas come together, you get the best idea in the end. I'm a massive advocate for collaboration. So anything you can do to get your teachers to work together will lead to effective CPD. Project-based learning can work for adults too. Set a real world problem, teachers work together to solve it. So the problem might be, our parents are overwhelmed with the number of links that are being shared. How are we going to solve this? And as a group, as a collective, you go away, you problem solve this, you come back together, you share your solution. It's essentially project-based learning for adults. Now, this is a slide from Sherry and Bo's webinar yesterday, which I really, really loved. And this is actually a slide about getting started for students, but I think it's relevant for adults as well. So if you start with a problem, parents being overwhelmed, kids not participating, you design a plan, you create a schedule, you monitor how well it's going, and then you share those experiences. I think the philosophy for project-based learning can be used here. The other thing that I would say is to make sure that when you're doing these, you've got a very clear learning objective. We've learned this with our webinars. The first webinars that we opened were very, very broad. What problems have you got with online learning? We found that the answers to those questions weren't easy. Some people liked the answers, some people totally irrelevant. So as we've gone through at LeapEd over the last 3 weeks, we've been making our webinars and our CPDs far more specific. So I think that is also a top tip I can share. Don't try and do everything all at once. Pick a small problem and try and solve it. Also, don't use the CPD session for passing messages and briefing staff. That's what happens with staff meetings. We've got a chance to do better with our CPD for staff here. So this is a quick summary. You've brought me to the end. I'm not going to read all of these out. I am going to share the webinar after, and so hopefully you can log on to YouTube. I'll share some screenshots of it in our Telegram group as well. This is a summary of my suggestions. I feel like with this brave new world that we're living in, there's so many opportunities to try new things and take some risks. I think a phrase I liked from a webinar I attended last week was positive risk takers. We need some positive, actually, I think it was Anne who's in this webinar used the phrase positive risk takers. We need positive risk takers that can take a challenge and not be afraid to fail. And you know what? I was really nervous about doing this webinar. I was really nervous, and actually a lot of your feedback has been really positive. So I'm glad that I've been a positive risk taker. and I'm going to take your feedback and go on and do better and better and better. So I've had quite a few questions about the polling on Zoom. It is, I think, has been discussed with it is part of the free version. I've just done my final poll for the session. Now there's a link on this slide, which I will send out, that has a link for how you do the polling for meetings. So the question is, was this helpful? And then there's a no, and then there's a sort of. So this is my assessment for learning. In the feedback forms, if people who are saying sort of, if you could give me some advice on how I can make these CPDs better for you in future. And for those people who are saying it's helpful, it would be really great if you could share with me what about it was successful. As with every facilitation, we just don't know how much lands, how much doesn't. I am aware, very aware, that I've given a lot of information in a short amount of time. And I think that is a real issue with short webinars. I'm thinking and now reflecting on this, maybe I could have split this into 2 different sessions. There are lots of things that we can reflect on out of facilitation. And I think I want to thank you for your feedback there. So I will drop the polling into the feedback form into the group chat at the end. So that brings me to the end. I think I planned too much. I'm a bit disappointed that I haven't got a great deal of time to answer some questions, but I've got a few minutes. I will not be offended if people need to go and do other things, but I'm going to hang around for a little bit and take any questions you've got. Like I said, there is that information overload versus practical help, which I'm very aware of. So that's something that I'm going to be thinking about. So finally, before we end, has anyone got any questions? If they could drop it into the group chat, I can respond to your questions. While I'm doing that, I will find the feedback form. So yeah, how to do polls on Zoom. Okay, how to do polls on Zoom. I will send the deck for you. If you Google polls for Zoom, there are lots of ways you can do it. It's quite simple to set up, but I'm reluctant. There's the feedback form for anyone that wants to fill it in. I'm reluctant to speak about a platform that's got a very good help section, so I would encourage you to look at the Zoom help section for that. Okay, are you able to share your YouTube links to anyone to each webinar you post up? Yes, I absolutely can. I can share the links, and I will do. Flipped learning, any example? Yeah, flipped learning is where you give a concept for children to learn before the lesson. So for example, I'm a history teacher. I might ask my students to find out the biography of one of the main characters in World War II and do some research about that person. And then they come to the lesson and share what they learn. So it's basically, instead of the teacher giving information in the lesson, the students do the research before the lesson, and then the lesson is sharing. So that's what the flipped learning concept is about. If you Google for flipped learning, you'll find loads of examples. Okay, maximum number of hours a day of sessions effective. To be honest with you, I feel like I'm screen drained. I've done an hour with you guys, and I feel like it's enough. I've heard of schools giving children 6 hours of Zoom lessons a day. I feel like that's too much, personally. One of the top tips we sent out on our Telegram was for school leaders. There's a way you can change your timetable, maybe do a couple of online lessons in the morning and maybe more offline active activities in the afternoon. The Telegram group we've set up has got that top tip, and I will send that out. You can be clever with your timetable as long as it's coordinated. So that's something. I like the 50 minutes on, 10-minute break model, but everybody is slightly different. Oh, referring to number of hours a day for CPD. Sorry, Miss Juman. I don't know. Everyone's busy. I guess we're all learning all the time, and I guess you know your staff teams. the best, and you have to judge it. I think if you make it opt-in, you can be a bit more mindful, but that's every school's choice. PowerPoint storytelling, how do I do that? It's really easy. You press a record button on PowerPoint. If you Google it, you will find it. I did, and it's really good. So definitely investigate PowerPoint for storytelling. Okay, that's all the questions. So I'm going to end this meeting. I'm not going to throw you out because I don't like to do that. So if you enjoyed today's session, if you didn't enjoy today's session, please fill out the feedback form and let me know. If you want to find out more, we've got a Telegram chat, a Telegram group which we're sending our bright ideas to and sending links. If you enjoyed it, please share with your friends. We're trying to reach as many people as possible with our bright ideas. And yeah, thank you very much for coming. And I hope to see you again soon. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your sharing.
Thank you, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.